Hello and welcome to the Photography Pubcast. This is Season 3, Episode 13. We weren't here last week. Do you know we didn't give a single reason why we weren't here last week? So it could have been anything. So shall we make up one why we weren't here?
Why wasn't we here?
Well,
we're not paid enough.
Yeah. We went on strike. It seems to be it's in vogue, isn't it? So no, we weren't here last week because Stuart wasn't here initially because you went to Harrison Lewis, didn't you?
I did.
And Jamie dropped out.
I shunned you for the family instead. Took the wife and the son out for a meal.
Yeah.
So
well done.
Sorry.
And we just went, oh, let's just leave it because without those two, we're just a husk of a pubcast.
And Darren wasn't allowed to speak either, anyway.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to speak anymore. So.
So that's very, very good point. Anyway, what have we been up to this week? Anybody done anything exciting?
I've been to Harris. If that class is
and how was that?
exciting. It wasn't bad. It's certainly never a bad thing to be on Harris, that's for sure. Photography wise, a bit frustrating because we just sort of seem to miss the light a lot of the time when the conditions were a bit 50-50. But no, it was a good trip, good crack with mates. I threw up on the ferry on the way over, which wasn't pleasant. For the life of me, I do not know why we had fish and chips before getting on a ferry when I knew I didn't like ferry crossings as well. So that was interesting. Although the ferry back was all right. So, and I didn't eat anything before I got on the ferry. But yeah, no, good trip. Yeah.
Excellent. And someone else got some good conditions. I saw, Jamie.
Yeah, we were saying earlier on, me and Stu, about the north-south divide of temperatures this week by the looks of it. So up north it was much milder than south, which is a bit unusual. Yeah. But yeah, we had some cracking conditions last weekend. Frost again, and a bit of fog, although it was coming in and out. So yeah, went back to my haunt as normal, and it was gorgeous actually. Really, really lovely conditions. Just very similar to what we had back in December. But with a bit more light this time. So, but yeah, no, I bagged quite a few images that I'm really happy with. So I had a cracking morning. Took young Owen there, have a look round for the first time. He quite enjoyed it as well. Obviously got the right conditions at the right time. So yeah, it was really nice. We had a cracking morning. So I think I've bagged sufficient hoarfrost shots for this winter to last me a few winters to come, I think.
And your photos, Jay, was stunning, mate.
Yeah, they were.
I can't. Gary did a video from there, and I must admit, Gal,
but it was shit.
No. So your pano, about 10 minutes in, I had to rewind the video to look at that because it was so good. I thought that was stunning, that photo. And I must admit, but Jay's photos, there were just so many. It was hard for me to pick out. Oh, that's like my favourite or something. Because Jay, you just got, I don't know, half a dozen like top-notch photos. So well
yeah, it was interesting because I don't normally, when I go out and shoot, I'll normally only take 20, 30 shots, something like that. That's my average sort of shot count when I'm out. I looked at 120 pictures I took, and it was weird because there was quite a lot of people there because obviously the conditions are right. So there was a lot of other photographers. Some of them I'd met, some of them I hadn't met before. So being me, I'm chatting away to everybody. So I wasn't actually shooting that many times, but so when I come back and saw that many shots, I was really surprised. And I've got a stack load on there that, since I've edited them, I'm really, really happy with them. What I'm probably going to do is to put them on my website and create a whole section called Hoarfrost and just put all of them up there so they're available if people want to go and have a look. Plug.
Yeah, £60 A4, £60 A4.
I'm looking forward to the video.
You'll be waiting a long time, Dave. As I said before, I focused on the photography rather than the video this time and thoroughly enjoyed it.
And anybody had any accidents in cars?
Oh, piss off.
What happened, Dave?
Well, I just slid off the road slightly in a load of mud and twatted one side of the car. I think I've bollocksed up the suspension.
So how are you getting it fixed? Has it got to be towed to a garage, or is that something you
No.
can drive?
I need to have a look at it. I haven't had a chance. I'll just jack it up, take the wheels off, and see how bad it is. Scrape the gravel out from the brake disc, put a new disc on.
As
As long as you're okay, mate, that's the main thing.
That's very true, actually. That is very true.
I mean, I should admit at this point, or not admit, that I haven't said anything to the lovely Mrs. G. She went out in it and said, "The car's all juddery." I said, "What have you done?"
So you let her test drive it after the accident.
She does watch the podcast, doesn't she, though?
No.
Oh,
No.
okay.
She doesn't even watch my own videos.
But your mum
I'm
does, though.
safe.
Your mum
Yeah.
does.
Yeah, but I've already told Mum what I did.
Oh, right. Oh, dear. What about you, Daz? You been up to anything?
No, nothing as eventful as these guys, but I did have a real kind of.
Oh,
Not me.
That's me. Sorry, it's off now. So Helen, she packed up her job just before Christmas after 15 and a half years. But I've got so much work on at the moment, so she's actually kind of helping me, and it's been really good actually working with her. But the job that we've been on, it's been quite a kind of a mucky job. A lot of full PPE, respirators, all this kind of stuff. But as the week's kind of gone on, the job's actually got a lot cleaner. So she got a little bit complacent the other day and didn't kind of put a hood up on a kind of disposable paper suit. Anyway, that night she came out, she goes, I just feel really mucky. I've got stuff in my hair. I just need to get through the door and go straight upstairs and have a shower. So I said, yeah, that's okay. So I was in the kitchen, which is pretty much directly below the bathroom, and I could hear all this banging around. And I'm thinking to myself, what the fucking hell is she doing up there? She weighs like 8 stone wringing wet. It's like a herd of elephants. So anyway, so she's come down about half hour later. She goes, "Did you hear all that?" I said, "What was going on?" So she said, "I got in the shower." She said, "And I got all my hair washed. I got all shampoo in my hair, and the hose from the shower just split, and it started spraying everywhere, all up to the ceiling." So she said, "I've turned the shower off." She goes, and I'm still, and obviously we've not really had the heating on that much, so the house was a bit cold. So she's freezing cold, she's got a head full of shampoo, so she's running the bath to jump in the bath, and then she's filled the bath up, jumped in the bath and knocked the plant pot off the side, which went in the bath. So now she's got hair that's kind of caked in rock hard shampoo, sitting in a bath full of mud. And when she came down and told me, it was the funniest thing I'd heard. I had tears, literally tears coming. So when I went up there, it was a nice warm bath for me, nice clean warm bath. But for her, just getting clean was an absolute mammoth.
Oh my god, brilliant. Well, eventful week then. Well, eventful week for her, not
For
necessarily
her,
for you.
yeah, not for me.
Okay, cool. Sam, what about you? You been up to anything?
yeah, I had a workshop client last weekend actually, so that was really good. Actually, it went really well. But obviously didn't do any photography myself. But the weekend before I went over to Skye, so it was just before the snow came, and it was just one of those quick shoots over Elgol, if anyone knows Elgol, which is one of my favourite places on the Isle of Skye. But it was nice because we had some nice light, and there was also just a little bit of snow on the mountains too, and I've not photographed it in those conditions before, so I did shoot a video, just a short video, so there might be a video coming out sometime in the next 6 months.
You had a new video out this week, mate, didn't you?
I had a new video out this week, which was one which I recorded before Christmas. Yeah, so that was when we had lots of snow. I just started my new job a couple of weeks ago, so I've been in that the last couple of weeks. So unfortunately we had all the snow on the first day of my new job, and it had all disappeared by the weekend. There was a bit still around when I was doing the workshop actually, so that was good. But no, I've not managed to photograph this round. But yeah, the bit before Christmas was good. Yeah, that was really nice. So.
Yeah, that day out in the snow, what a great video. I mean, if anybody watching this hasn't seen it, highly recommended, because those... Oh, Gary, you putz. But no, what I thought was really good was that in those sort of conditions, it's so easy just to point your camera anywhere and think you're going to get a winner, and you didn't. You were very selective, and I thought, particularly that close up of the 3 trees with those layers behind it, absolutely sublime. Got to be said.
That was a great shot.
Thank you very much, Dave. Thank you very much, Gary. Yeah,
It was brilliant.
I knew you liked that one.
I will get round to watching it. I'm sorry, I just have been a bit scatterbrained this week. I did see Dave was in a rainforest.
Yes,
Yeah, I did see
Yeah.
that.
I quite enjoyed that.
Yeah, it sounds like an interesting book. That. Do
It
you
is a
want
very
to
good
give it a
book.
plug?
Yeah, I'm
No,
gonna
he
get.
hasn't retweeted, so he can piss off.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I won't buy a copy of it. I was going to buy a copy. I won't. I'll just
are we
get a copy
talking
of
about?
yours, Dave.
What have I missed?
Dave read a book by someone, and they were saying that there's a lot of, is it temperate rainforests in Snowdonia and lots of other areas, and Dave went to one.
Yeah, that's the long and
That was
short of
it.
it.
Okay.
And it was by Dolbaden Castle.
It was that particular fragment, yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. Anyway,
And then decapitated the lone tree.
yeah.
Some bloke wrote in and said, "This is a bit of a Marmite composition. I'm not sure if I like it." And I wrote back saying, "I don't care." And he wrote back saying, "Well, if you don't care, what was your rationale for posting it?" And I wrote back saying, "Do I need a rationale?" The sort of crap you get on Facebook is unbelievable.
Yep, absolutely.
I did see that.
Yep. Can you hear her in the background?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She ain't dropped a
What's
plant
she
pot,
doing?
has she?
No, she's yapping on the phone without a care in the world. Shut up!
That plant pot will come flying in there now through that door.
I think I got away with that. Just listen. Anyway, should we move on? Should we move on to some comments? We had a few comments this week. One that I picked. What's going on? One that I picked out was. I picked it out so well that I've lost it. Bob Smurf wrote in, and he said that he was enjoying this new find, but he did say that my background makes me feel like I'm out in the shed at 2 a.m. in the morning in -4 degrees. So, Bob, I hope you're happy. I've done something about it. I've installed a roller blind.
Bob, what are you doing out in the shed at 2 a.m? That's what I want to know. If it's not astrophotography, then there's something a little bit suspect.
Well, his name's Bob Smurf, so I imagine he's gone very blue.
Dear.
Anyway, Nikki Folks agrees with you on Room 101, Jamie. She would go for Martin Clunes as well.
Yeah, I saw that.
I think
Rubbish.
it might be the acting though, rather than the fact that he's ugly with big ears, which is what you said. Quite a few people agreed with Tom Cruise, and quite a few people
Yes.
also agreed with. I've forgotten his name. What's his name? Truman
Jim
Show.
Carrey.
Jim Carrey. Yeah, quite a few people agree with that as well. So yeah, we picked some good ones there. Talking of the comments, we had one from Ross Brocklesby, and he said that Adam Carnatz has talked recently about his idea for a value business model. I don't know if any of you watched that video.
No.
No.
Did you?
I saw it.
I did. Yes, I watched it. Yeah, all the way through, and wondered what we thought about it. Supporting each other through buying each other's prints and various other products. Do you think it works in this current financial climate? Well. It's one really to ask. I'm really sorry. I'm going to put this on you, Stuart. It's one to ask Stuart because you are a professional photographer. So, do you think that model works?
I did see that video, and I mean, I wasn't. The thing that I got from it was that it was sort of trying to move his raw room thing onto his website basically. Was I right with that? Yeah.
Well, I think Raw Room's already on his website, but I think he's taken the paywall down.
Oh,
so
right, yeah, he's taken
making it
right,
free.
yeah. The idea that I think personally, I think it's one of those things that it's a nice idea in theory. it does rely on people's goodwill, and maybe I'm probably a bit pessimistic with that, in that I think if you give people the option of paying a very small amount for something, then they'll pay a very small amount for something. Do you know what I mean? I'd like to think that people would, donate a reasonable amount of money or something for something that someone's put a lot of work into. But in reality, I'm not sure that would work in practice, to be honest. Not to say that it's certainly not worth trying, but for me, I'm personally not sure that would work. Yeah.
So what is it, Gary? Is it what is the Raw Room? Sorry,
okay. So Adam has his YouTube channel, and he also has a series of videos on his website in a space that he's called the Raw Room. And originally, it's got lots more tutorials and more in-depth videos. And I think you can request a video on certain things, and it was a monthly subscription fee. So I don't know. I think it was about £5 a month. So you pay a £5 a month, and you get access to all of the videos I think that he puts out on YouTube, plus all of these other videos that he puts out specifically for the Raw Room. And what he's saying is that I'm not really sure what he was saying entirely, but the premise of it, I think, is that he's now taken the paywall off the Raw Room and is making it available, but has essentially put in, let's say, a donate button to say, if you find this one video particularly useful, or you find my work particularly useful, then you can donate money to me. I think the principle as well behind this whole value for value thing is also not necessarily, it's almost like, if you take it a step further, instead of selling your prints, you might want to swap it. So swap your print with someone else, so they're getting something and you're getting something in return. I don't really know, because for me, I had this idea years ago about doing a thing called ethical workshops. I think it's probably because I don't think I didn't think at the time that I was probably very good. And instead of like saying, I want to charge you a certain amount of money, I was looking and saying, well, come on my workshop and pay me what you think it's worth. And if you don't think it's worth anything, then don't pay anything. But I'm not going to set a price on it. So you pay what you think it's worth. And a few people pointed out to me, or said to me, like you're saying, Stu, really, if you offer someone something for nothing, most people will take that offer. Will take it for nothing, and they won't look and go, oh, but he's, it's worth this much. They'll just take what they can get out of it. So I don't know whether it works or not.
I think with that as well, it's very dependent on what your business model is. I mean, if you're offering that kind of thing with perhaps a more passive part of your revenue stream, I can maybe see some merit in that, if you're not sort of dependent on that and you're not sort of basing your business around it. But I can't see how that would work as a main core of anyone's business, because you can't plan for any sort of cash flow or anything like that. So I think for like one-off products and stuff like that, you could possibly look at doing it if it's not that critical to your business. But I couldn't see how you could ever run that as part of your sort of main core of your business. I can't in any way say that would work. I like the idea. Sorry, go on. You go.
No, so I'm not suggesting this for a minute, and I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing or what. So I'm not really judging, but I'm just wondering if it was, if someone was charging, say, £5 a month for something, and then they're going over to, well, then just donate. Was many people subscribing to that £5 a month? And it could, and is it kind of, well, okay, well, I'm not really generating that much for £5 a month, so it might be better if I just almost kind of put it out there and say, "Oh, just give me whatever you want," because, I'm not saying this is for Adam, but it might be, well, something's better than nothing. I don't know.
My thought on it is that if you are, you're a professional, it's a bit odd to then suddenly say, well, I'm going to take away an income stream, unless you've got another angle on it. And I wonder I wonder whether people do this. I'm not saying individuals do this, but I wonder if people do this to drive traffic to their website, because the website, if you've got, say you've got, let's say you've got 100,000 subscribers on YouTube and you're getting 50,000 views per video, but you've only got 200 people viewing the stuff on your website behind a paywall. If you then say, well, I'm going to drop that and I'm going to make it free, and you can pull over 20,000 people to your website,
Oh, that might be it.
and then they look and go, oh, well, he's
What?
actually doing workshops, and oh, he's
Yeah.
selling prints, and oh, he's doing this, and then maybe eventually you could then go, oh, do you know what, this hasn't worked, so I'm going to put the paywall back up again. You've got 20,000 people sitting there watching, going, and you might catch a few more who end up paying for it. I don't know. I can't. I'm just surmising, but
I think there's an inherent difficulty in this, that you can't discount those people that, bearing in mind the Raw Room has been around for, I think, at least 3 years, possibly slightly longer. There's a whole cohort of people that have coughed up cold hard cash for that content. And I think that you would have to have a very compelling reason to, in effect, spit in their faces. So I think Darren makes a good point that if that income has tailed off dramatically, it's a case of, well, let's see what else we can do. And I'm taking nothing away from Adam, because I'm willing to bet that the stuff that was sitting behind that paywall is good quality stuff and is really useful. Specifically, I would say to novice landscape photographers that are just getting into it and want to fast track their own progress. So I'm and knowing Adam as somebody who is intelligent and thoughtful, he will have considered that, and I'm willing to bet that there's a very, very good set of reasoning behind it because of that potential for alienating an awful lot of people. So I'm sure it's not something that he woke up at 3 a.m. and thought, "Do you know what, I'm going to drop the paywall and see what happens." He will have thought long and hard about it and done the figures. I think it's also important to separate it from the where we talked about, one person gets a print, another person buys a print. That sort of thing is a total zero-sum game. Neither person pays their mortgage off that sort of activity. So I think that's something completely different.
But I am. I've said this before a couple of pubcasts ago, that I am gonna, support the professional photographers out there, and I've already bought a couple of prints, and I'm going to buy an Adam Gibbs print as well. Because I'm not doing it just because out of the goodness of my own heart, but I think he takes great photos, and I just think it's good to support. Everyone that does YouTube, especially professional photographers, they got to get something out of it, because the revenue they get from making these videos is nothing really, is it? It's pittance. You couldn't live off of it. You've got to live off of your workshops and you're selling your prints. So I just thought, I'm going to support the pros that are on YouTube,
Which I think is fine if you're doing that for the right reasons, which you obviously are, and not expecting anything back in return. But I think
I am. I'm expecting he put me up for a week, free of charge.
There you go, then.
7-day workshop, free of charge.
This is the trust you put in your fellow colleagues into whether they're actually willing to do that or not. But I think the point that Dave was making, it on being a zero-sum game, I think if you do expect something back in return, then it's all we're doing is a little bit of sort of mutual backslapping here and saying, I like that, okay, and by the way, you can have that in return, and we're quid pro quo really. So we're not actually getting anywhere apart from just working as a collaborative group of photographers and supporting each other. It doesn't elevate our positions at all. It just keeps us where we are.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah, it's all for the right reasons, of course, and it doesn't hurt your own ethical position if you're willing to partake in something like that. It shows that you've got a little bit of thought and consideration for others rather than just being a selfish sod. So at least it puts you out there. In that perspective.
As a civilization, we've kind of gone beyond, I'll mend your fence and you give me 3 chickens. you know, because in days of old, barter was a thing, but kind of doesn't work these days.
No.
I do like the idea of print swaps. I've done print swaps with other photographers in the past, and if you're looking at it purely as a sort of, you know, putting something good out there and that'll come back to you in some way and all that sort of thing, I totally agree with that. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, but I mean,
to support photographers.
I would swap a print with you any day because yours are good and mine are shit.
I was going to say, Stuart, you've just dug yourself into a hole there. You're going to get loads of crap prints now.
There's some Hoarfrost I'd like a copy of. Framed,
yeah, no, but seriously, I do think that's a great thing to do for people to sort of support other photographers in building a community element. But from a commercial angle, I'm not totally sort of sold on that. But then I don't think that idea really is more of a commercial thing. I think it's just a sort of bigger picture idea of just, you know, making things a bit more positive for everyone, and hopefully that'll come back to you. But what I was just going to say on the other bit that we were talking about is just, I think that idea of value for value, it probably can work on very individual products or something like that, but it's very much, I mean, it's so linked to the individual and their business model and all that sort of thing. It's, you know, that doesn't want to sound boring. It's far too nichey a sort of thing to sort of apply to all of photography. I think it can work, but, you know, I wouldn't want to base my business around it, basically.
Well, I'll tell you something, Dave. My fence needs doing, but I'm going to take my chickens elsewhere. If that's your attitude, mate, I'll take my chickens elsewhere.
He'll run them down.
Yeah.
Talking of chickens, do you know what?
Yes.
I've been practically a vegetarian for the last... No, I've been practically a pescatarian for the last 4 weeks now.
You sick man.
And all I've had is 2 chicken sandwiches in the first week because we bought it and I thought I don't want it to go off, and I have not missed it at all. Who was that?
Lunatic.
I was vegetarian for 3 years and then
What's your mate?
Then gave up.
No,
yeah.
honestly, I'm not saying that I'm not, but Helen has just cooked these amazing like vegetarian meals, like so good. And I'm not missing it.
I tell you what, when I first met Jan, she invited me round the first time, sort of a first date. She cooked spaghetti bolognese, and we had a lovely evening. And when we sort of got together, it was, you know, sort of a couple of months down the road. She said that spaghetti I cooked you, she said up to that point I was a vegetarian, but I didn't think you'd be interested if I carried on with it. So I'm responsible for her going back to being an omnivore. I don't feel guilty because she, you know, it's her fault, isn't it?
Well, I've got nothing against vegetarians as long as they don't shove it in my face, you know. As long as they're not, you know, I don't want any vegetarians coming around my house saying, "Oh, you got to cook me cauliflower or something." It's like, no, I don't go around your house saying you've got to cook me a steak, do I? So you be a vegetarian on your own in your own time. That's fine by me. We'll just
So what's
leave
your
it at
favourite veggie meal that Helen's cooked you then, Darren?
Well, she's like it's like a chili, not a chili con carne, so it's like a chili, but I don't know what she put. I'm not a cook, but all these different beans and lentils and all this
Soya.
stuff in it, and it's really nice. And she does
Everything's
this
soya.
amazing chicken curry, and she's just taken out the chicken, and she put corn in instead. And again, that's absolutely it's been brilliant. Yeah, I honestly, if you tasted it, I'm not saying. I mean, I'm not converted. Don't get me wrong. If I fancy a bit of steak one day, I'll have it. But all I'm saying is, for the last kind of 4 weeks, I've not missed it at all.
How's your sort of trips to the toilet been? Has that ratio changed at all in the same period? Do you find yourself more loose, maybe? Oh, okay.
No, that's all fine, thanks.
Welcome to the Photography Pubcast. Diarrhea edition. Jesus Christ. Well steered away though, Daz. That was well steered away from the other conversation. I get where you're coming from with that one. So, yeah, good stuff. Well, I think we've covered that one. We'll just move on to another subject. Corn or chicken? Who wants to start on that? No. What do we want to talk about? I'll tell you what we'll talk about next. Whose idea was this? We put in the Facebook group spice names. Was that your idea, Darren?
Of course it was.
Probably.
So if we
Who else would come up with that?
so basically, Darren decided. I think I posted it, didn't I?
No, I'm sure it's Darren.
No, I
It
posted
must be
it.
Darren.
I posted it, and Darren asked me to post it. I remember now. So basically, we just put, you got the Spice Girls, and they're like posh, scary, etc., etc. What do you think we'd be known as? So, Daz, you've got some names. So before I read the comments out, do you want to go
Right,
through the
so
names?
I've substituted, it's what would it be? Scary spice. So the spice. So it has to be something pub. So I've shortened the pub or pubcast to P. Okay. Right. So Dave, easy. That was just straight away. Dave's Professor P.
I think Sam might have something to say about that.
This is in no particular order. This is just the way they come to me. Right, Stuart, because he looks like a bit of a bruiser, and he is a boxing fan.
Yep.
I've named Stuart after Roy Shaw and Floyd Mayweather. So Stuart is Pretty Boy P.
Go on, I'll take that.
Sam, because of his wildlife, like being up in the mountains. So Sam is Hairy P, as in hairs. I've gone with
I like
Hairy
that.
P. Now, see the next one, right? I'm not being funny, but the six of us, we're not going to win any awards for a boy band, the best looking, But Jamie, let's face it, Jamie's probably the best looking one out of the lot. We set the bar very low for Jay, right? And because of the old silver hair, I've gone with Foxy, the old silver fox, Foxy P.
Oh, nice.
But then, well, you say that, Jay, because I was looking there a minute ago and I thought, are you going a bit thin? Because because I could see through your hair to them books at the back.
It's just this camera, mate. Yeah, no, you're right. I'm going very thin. Yeah.
And then, Garrett, I had so many for Gaz, I really did. But
Mucky P.
mate, that's exactly what I've got. That's exactly what I've got. I've just gone straight away. I thought, got to be Mackie P, isn't it? His love of fast food.
KFP.
And somebody in the comments, they didn't give me. Well, they might have gave me a name, but it probably was aimed at me. But straight
I'll give
away
you
it
his Daz.
was-
Always needs a P.
Oh,
Yes. That's a cracker.
needs her.
I was going to go for I gotta pee.
Well, I've gone for Saki.
Saki P.
Saki P.
Oh dear. Very
So
good.
then-
Do you want to hear some of the ones from the comments from the Facebook page? So Daniel Retham, he's put the names, but I'm going to let you guess. So these are all based on spice, yeah. So the spice is right. Who's that? Who do you reckon that is?
You?
No, that's Dave. That's Dave. I was surprised because you got Old Spice. Who do you reckon that is?
It'll be me then. Given
No,
what
that's
Darren's
Daz.
just said.
That's Daz's Old Spice because of the slippers apparently.
50. What do you mean slippers and? What do you mean slippers and pajamas? Oh, I'm not having that.
There's book to table at Spice. Who do you reckon that is? No, that's me. Muck Spice. I mean, this one's a bit of a giveaway. Muck Spice.
I'll take that.
No, you're
Sam?
not Muck Spice. No, that's Sam.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know where
I
he's
thought
got
my
this one from. Miami Spice. That's Jamie. Miami Spice.
What?
And Stu, you're last. It's Spice Rack because you're a unit.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And then we've got some others. We've got some others now that don't really mention names. So you've got Let's Eat. I wonder who that could be. Welsh Rarebit. Eat at Home. Chippy Sausages. Haggis, Neeps and Tatties and Kendall Mint Cake. I mean, that's from
What,
Pete
what,
Atkins.
what
I don't
does
know.
that mean?
I've no idea.
He's
He's
just
gone,
listed a load of food.
yeah, he's just gone,
How is that relatable to who we are?
I need to think.
Has he just got out his Tesco's bill that just thought, yeah, beans,
That'll do,
you know, yeah.
Yeah. Another one here. There's only 3 on this one, and you can just pick whoever you want to be. This is from Nikki Folks. Eat and mess, muck in a pot, and overexposure.
Again, what does that even relate to? I saw them comments and I'm just thinking, what?
Listen, Dan. Just don't listen to the rules, do they at all?
They don't listen to the rules, no.
No,
Have we got a barred button?
The golden nuggets is another one. Just doesn't relate to anything. That's from Nick Nichols. Pete Cundall said Pew Pew, Barney McGrew, Cuthbert, Dibble and Grub.
I see kind of where he was going with that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Andy Newton's only gone for 4. He said Burger Boy, Sleepy, Lord Snowden, and Mr. Cheeky Boy. You know, so he obviously doesn't care about Stuart and Sam at all.
So who was I then?
Sleepy.
Where are they getting this ideas from? This is, I don't.
Oh dear. And then you got Amanda Dean says she's gone with the new Mr. Men. So she's got, I mean, and again, there's nothing on here for who it could be. You've got windy,
That's
rainy,
me.
sunny, foggy, misty, and murky. So yeah, apparently I would be windy. And then Justin Crane is the last one. He's gone for Golden Archie, Nerdy, Interrupty.
Who's that? Is that me or you?
It's you, mate.
Me?
Interrupty P.
If I'm Golden Archie, you've got to be Interrupty.
Golden Archie.
No, do you know, I'll take that on the chin.
Blunty,
Oh, that's Dave. Got to be Dave.
Yeah.
professionally, and Fenny. And then I think he's even put in stuff for the people who used to be in it, Sarky, Noisy, and t'other one.
Oh, that's what I saw, Sarkin. Because as soon as I saw that, I thought, yeah, that sums me right up. That.
No,
So
that's
I thought
James. That's James. That is.
Oh, is
isn't
that
it?
James?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So there you go. I can't really think of any spice names for us. Did anyone spend any time thinking about it other than Taz?
No, I just assumed it
That
was a
took me
comment for
week,
the.
that.
I think Cheeky is a great one. Interrupty, Blunty, Nerdy, and Spice Rack, and then just take your pick for me. Really, it could be anything. I think Mucky P was a good one. So yeah, so thanks for putting your comments in on that. We really appreciate it. And
No, we don't. We couldn't care less.
no,
We could because some of it I didn't
appreciate
understand.
It. Yeah. And
I didn't
all the
understand
ones that were negative towards you.
The Tesco shopping list one. I didn't understand
no,
that.
that didn't make any sense at
No.
all, really. Yeah, thank you. That's it, really. Got nothing else to say on that. Thanks for Daz for bringing that up. Brilliant
Well,
topic.
as
yeah,
my
Daz.
new name could be Needser.
Yeah.
On that note,
All right. So moving on from that.
Debacle.
Yeah, that I was trying to find a word similar to that, Dave. Yeah, very, very well put. Moving on from that debacle, let's talk about photography again. This one is from Stuart, and this one's been kicking around for a few weeks, and we keep meaning to get to it, and then sort of just missing it. But I really think it's a good one to talk about. So, basically, what you asked here was how much of landscape photography success is talent versus opportunity and resources. So, do you want to expand on that a bit, Stuart, and sort of say what your thoughts are?
I really should have thought about what I was going to say about this because it sounded like a great idea at the time.
I bet you wish you'd have gone with the Spice Girls question now, don't you?
I know.
See, it's not looking too sad now, is it?
I know. No, the reason I mean, it's one of those things that you hear about on social media all the time, where you'll get, there's a lot of discussion about where photographers are based and I mean, myself being based in the Lake District, I'm obviously very fortunate that I've got a national park right on my doorstep, and many photographers aren't that fortunate. And you will see from time to time photographers commenting about, well, I'd take better pictures if I was, you know, close, if I lived somewhere better, or, you know, I had more time on my hands and all that sort of stuff. So I just thought it was an interesting one to discuss. But I mean, my own thoughts, I guess, is that I think, and this probably isn't a good thing to say as someone who's trying to sell his work for a living, but I think resources and opportunity to make good pictures in landscape photography is probably a far higher factor in making good images than people would like to admit, I think, to be honest. I think obviously you need an element of skill to produce really good pictures, but I do think those two things about certainly where you're based, I think, has a huge impact on the images you can produce. I mean, Mark Littlejohn, who we've mentioned on this before, he's a big advocate for this, actually, that he's always sort of pains to remind people that he's been very fortunate in that, you know, he was based in the Lake District for years and now he's based up at Torridon. And, you know, his life is much easier to make good images because of, you know, where he's based, basically. Whereas if you're, you know, in the middle of a city, in the middle of England, and the nearest national park to you is 2 hours drive or whatever, then there's no getting around the fact that it's going to be more difficult for you to create really good images. So I do think those two things are a bit higher in terms of importance than people would like to admit. I think, you know, we all want to kind of probably tell ourselves that it's just the photographer and it's, you know, it's only our skill that make these images, but there's a lot of other factors go into it than just, you know, your ability with the camera, I think.
Yeah, well, I should probably step in here and as well, because obviously the reason Hannah and I have moved up to the Highlands is for photography. And, you know, before, you know, I'm extremely fortunate because obviously I have a wife who's understanding of that, and I didn't, however, have a career which would allow me to do that because I was always tied to working in an educational setting and quite a specific requirement. So I you know, obviously I was a scientist working in labs, and the only labs that would support that kind of work were based in Oxford, Cambridge and London and maybe Bristol. And you know, when I lived in Bristol, which was when I took up photography, it was good because I had access to areas where I could do landscape photography. And then when I found myself living in Oxfordshire, you know, there obviously is things you can photograph in Oxfordshire. It's got great woodlands and fantastic wildlife photography. But for me, the landscape just wasn't the type of landscape which I like to photograph. And so we made that decision to move up here entirely based on where do we want to be. And what sort of areas would we like to have access to photograph, and you know, I'm very fortunate now in that I have a job which allows me to be here, but it is such a big factor, I think, is being somewhere where, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be in the Lake District or Torridon or wherever. It's you know, as you find, Jamie, in particular as well, it's finding your local spot that inspires you and suits your type of photography. So I think if you are a photographer who's finding that, you know, you are starting to resent the fact that you can't get to these locations easily, there's sort of two ways you can go about it. You can either relocate or find something in your local area which inspires you to do the sort of photography that you enjoy. And it might be that you start to enjoy a new type of photography because that local area provides you with that type of photography. But I think that, you know, I think the key to photography really is being able to get to an area when the conditions are right. And if you've got a local spot that suits your type of photography, then you're miles ahead of the game. So.
Well, I've said this for a long time. I say it less as I get better, probably, but I think that you get to a certain level of photography, and then it's all about getting out and being in the place at the right time, because I think there are photographers who elevate that again. I think that some people can get to a place, and then because they are that much better, they can then use those conditions in terms of their composition even more. But in general, I think most people get to a level. Some people never get to that level, to be fair, but a lot of photographers, they get to a level where it's no longer about competency and composition, it's about opportunity and getting out in the right conditions. And like you say, it's absolutely about where you are, but it's not just about where you are, it's about when you are. It's about being able to go, we've got a beautiful morning this morning, but I haven't got to drive into work and miss it all. I can get out and take the shot, because that might, look at that hoarfrost you took, Stuart. That's once in, like you say, 10-year opportunity.
Yeah.
And a lot of people would have missed that opportunity because they had to go to work. And
Yeah.
so that doesn't mean they're not as good a photographer. It just means that they didn't have that opportunity because they weren't afforded it. So yeah, I agree with everything you said, really, I think. Although I will say that it takes a level of photography skill to get the shot you got. I think that you could have, let's say, 10,000 people go to that place, and maybe only 1% of them would get that shot you got. Because you've got to have that level as well. So
But I think that, I agree with everything that you three guys have said, and again, I don't want to kind of take it away from any, like, a professional photographer that's in that location at all, because Stuart's photos, they kind of speak for himself. You have, you just got to go into his gallery to see these amazing shots. But I think no matter what level of photographer you are, if you have access to a national park, then you're naturally gonna go up a notch or two, because you've got access to it. I'm not saying that you'll reach the dizzy heights of a professional photographer, but if you're given time and you're given the access to that place, then I'm sure then your own photography will improve dramatically and quite quickly.
I will say something now. I will say there are hundreds and hundreds of people out there who are not professional photographers and who are not on YouTube every week, who are really, really, really good and as good as professional photographers. And there are some professional photographers who are not as good as those people. So I don't think it's necessarily about being a professional. I think being a professional, you still got to have that ability. Just because you do it for a living doesn't necessarily mean that you have that either innate or learned ability to take that shot. You've still got to have that ability, and there are professionals out there who absolutely can, and there are amateurs out there who absolutely can't, but equally vice versa. There are amateurs who absolutely can and professionals who unfortunately can't.
Definitely.
But I think as well, sorry, I'm butting in, I'm interrupting again now, but I think kind of using like the old boxing analogies, the majority of the fight is won in the gym, all the training that goes into it. And I would have thought someone like Stuart, who's been out to these locations like for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours on end, and the conditions haven't been right, but because he's been able to dedicate some time to it, he knows that when the conditions are right, that's the spot I'm heading to straight away to kind of get that first shot possibly in the bag. But you've already put all of the legwork in, constantly over a year or so.
Yeah. Also, I know I've already been hogging the topic a bit, but the other thing I would say is that sometimes being forced into having to make the most of a location or conditions or time that you have access to, whether that's because you're working full time and you can't get out other than at weekends, or you can only get out early in the morning at certain times of year, or if you are confined to a city or you only have access to woodlands, sometimes that can actually lead to a situation where you're creating unique images that are special in their own right because you've been forced into doing that type of photography. And I know wildlife photographers who entirely focus on urban wildlife and have won massive competitions, taking photos of frogs in the park or foxes in the street, and it's, some people would think, I need to be going out to Norway to photograph polar bears, but actually sometimes just looking at those local subjects in those local areas, whether it's trees in your local park or somewhere like that, I know it can feel frustrating, but it can actually lead to unique images. And a lot of the photos I took in Oxfordshire were probably some of the best woodland photography that I've done, and I'm surrounded by wonderful woodlands here, but actually the woodland photos I took when I was back in Oxfordshire in my local wood, because I didn't have anywhere else to go, I knew that's where I could go. If it happened to be a misty morning, I'd pop down there and take some shots, and it's just getting the right conditions, and it's because I knew it and it was on my doorstep. I was sort of forced into taking those kinds of photos, and it can be really productive as well. So it's making the most of the situation that you're in, I think.
I think the talent and opportunities thing is slightly separate, really, in my view. I think talent is something that you learn. It's a skill, it's an art. You do craft your experience in able to go out and take pictures and get better and better, and you can do that anywhere. Yes, if you're in a national park, then you've probably got access to more places more regularly that will help you to get better pictures, but only because it looks better than a flat land, for instance. Take my back door. But it doesn't stop you learning your craft, and doesn't stop you developing your skills as a photographer. You can do that anywhere. And I think you put a mediocre photographer in a national park, and they'll get mediocre shots if they haven't got the talent and skill to be able to get a decent shot. So I think having the opportunity is the right thing to do to enable you to get better, because I think if you are living in an area that does entice you and motivate you to get out, you'll get out more, you'll practice more, you'll learn more. Whereas if you're living in the middle of a city or in the middle of a flatland, then it doesn't motivate you as much to get out. So therefore you're not practicing as much more and you're not learning as much more. So I think there is a link between the two, but I think there's a definite fact that if you haven't got the skills or you haven't defined your craft enough to be able to take decent pictures, it doesn't matter where you are, whether you're in a national park or not, you're not going to take them. I think it just gives you more opportunity to get more available compositions, and then it's down to you to be able to make that composition work and create a decent picture out of it. But I think to Darren's point around the getting out and getting practiced and getting better at it, I think having that on your doorstep will encourage you to do that more, because it's great. Why not go out first thing in the morning and take a walk in the fells or the mountains? It's on your doorstep, so you do it. So yeah, I think it's linked in that way.
Can I just say, and I think that Stuart and Sam might agree with me, that living on, with a national park immediately available, there are countless photographs that we see from these areas that are taken by people that are seduced by the fact they're in a national park. In other words, it sort of looks good on paper, so to speak. And we might say, yeah, there's so many places that people go and take pictures where, frankly, we wouldn't bother, because we know that they're not really all that good, and that the interesting images perhaps require more work or more knowledge of the park. And if you scale that down to local areas, I mean, for example, Jamie, having visited Home Fen with you, I was surprised that it was, 5, 6, 7 acres maybe? It's not very big.
No.
And I think that most people would be able to find within an hour's drive of their home, even if it were in a city, that there will be a patch of land somewhere that offers enough scope to work out what might be interesting in what sort of conditions. And I think that there is an element of almost, dare I say it, laziness. Oh, I haven't got anything on my doorstep, so I'll just, when I can, I'll get in my car and drive 3 hours to a national park or an area of outstanding natural beauty or something of that ilk. And in the event that you were to find a local patch, and I can think of some specific names, and I'm going to name one now because I think it bears naming. Mally Davies, whilst he spends a lot of time in the lakes, he's created some absolutely magical images within a few miles of his own doorstep in a rather ropey area. And some of he's got a little, it's almost flatland. It's called Crank Hill, but it isn't a hill really. You put a marble at the top and it won't roll anywhere. But he's managed to make some images from that spot because he goes there regularly. He understands it. He's got right under its skin and understands it in the way that Jamie, you understand Holmfell. Stuart, you know, there are certain spots in the lakes you understand. Sam, around your neck of the woods. And the same goes for you, Gary and Darren. You've both got spots that you totally understand and have got into. But because you made the effort, it's... yeah, McDonald's car park. No, but well, thanks for pissing on my fireworks.
Every week?
But the point I'm making is that none of us, wherever we live here, us six, have got to grips with an area without a colossal amount of effort and dedication to examine the possibilities of an area. And my point is that there are certain people out there who do just that, no matter where they live, and deliver some absolutely amazing photography. It may not include a mountain or a stunning coastline, but it's photography that, when I'm, you know, looking at their stuff, stops me in my tracks. And as I say, I throw Mally in. Another one I would throw in is James Burns. He, you know, I know he spends time in the lakes. He's always doing Wainwrights. I know he's got nothing better to do. But when he's shooting locally a bit of woodland or something, he just comes up with something, and you know it's because he's made the effort to understand the location. And I think that a lot of photographers could invest a bit of time in doing that, rather than bemoaning the fact that their circumstances put them not on the doorstep of a stunning area. And a lot of the places I go because the area is stunning and I enjoy it. And on those occasions, I probably don't even get my camera out the bag. Of course, I've got it with me, but there's plenty of places that look fabulous and give you a great day out, but they're not photo worthy in any conditions.
Totally agree with you on that, but I will say that, like, for instance, if you take Crank Hill, for instance, where Mally shoots, is primarily, it's that tree, isn't it? Really, that's
it's a small group of trees in some farmland. Yeah.
And I have areas like that, and I'm sure we've all got, Jamie does, you know, we've got little areas like that where we live. But I think they are few and far between, but also they are, you know, there are some places in the right conditions where I live that look absolutely amazing. Like there's a lone tree on a hill called Pegston Hill. In the right conditions, look absolutely amazing. But you've got to have the right conditions. I know that sounds like we could say that for everywhere, but if you go to Snowdonia, or you go to a Lake District, or you go to Torridon, you know, you can. I mean, I have experience of doing it in Snowdonia, for instance. I've been on flat, cold, horrible days, but you still look and go, my God, you know, look at this place, look at the shots I can get here. Whereas you go up that little hill on a flat, cold day, and you got the one tree, and you sort of go, not today. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, that's what Sam made a point earlier about, you know, if you live in an area that doesn't kind of inspire you for that kind of particular genre of photography, then change genres, which is exactly what I've done. I mean, around here now, I only shoot wildlife where I live. I don't shoot any landscape.
The question is, though, it's landscape.
Yeah, I know that we've kind of gone off road a little bit, but.
I mean, what Sam's saying there is right. You know, a change of approach, do some street or some wildlife or whatever, then, you know, absolutely, I think I would do exactly the same. But if it's specifically landscape, obviously, you know, straying into another genre isn't really landscape, is it? Do you know what I mean?
But I wasn't necessarily saying change genre. I mean, you can do, but it's finding little. If it is just landscape, it's finding little pockets that are maybe a different type of landscape that you can still find inspiring. So, for me in Oxfordshire it was woodland photography, and I wasn't a fan of woodland photography, but because when I was in before I moved to Oxford, and then when I moved there, it was, well, I'm going to have to get into woodland photography, and I really, really did. And it was one of those things when initially I thought I'm a mountain photographer, I'm not a woodland photographer. But just going out, and particularly with the pandemic as well, there was one local woodland which I could walk to from the house, and I just got to know it inside out. And whenever I had the chance before work, I'd go down and spend half an hour walking around it, and there were probably only 3 compositions there which I would photograph, but I photographed them throughout the year at different times of the year. And if there was fog, I'd be straight down there, take a shot. And it's sort of, I guess it's just changing your mindset with the landscape, and because it's getting to know an area, and when you know an area inside out, you can react to conditions and know what sort of how it will work best in different conditions. So
yeah, I totally agree. And you know, Gary, your point is reasonable, but also to counter that, I would say that I've seen you visit local places on your videos, and you make a video and then we don't see that place again, and I look at it and think that there's so much there within, you know, your walking distance, which I'm guessing isn't very far. So
Talking about my garden. You're literally talking about my garden at the end of my drive.
So I'm talking about places that are within an easy drive
far as
of where
a
you
pasty lasts.
But Sam's, I'm just kind of building on Sam's point, that I think that if you take a local area and say, right, I'm going to make this my patch, I'm going to work this, and you know, you go there, you visit it, you visit it once or twice, you make a video, and then we never see that spot again. And I'm looking kind of behind you when you're doing a piece of camera, thinking, my goodness, that's somewhere where you could visit once a month, and within a year or so, you're at the point where you've got 5 or 6 absolutely classic top drawer compositions, just waiting for the right conditions.
You almost. Well,
But it's
you
got
are,
to inspire you, isn't it?
This is exactly what I was going to say. You are absolutely spot on, Dave.
I mean, I can go to a woodland, and I will never get a shot in a woodland as long as I've got a hole in my arse. I will never get it, because when I see a woodland shot, right, a good woodland shot, I just think, man, that is amazing, absolutely incredible. Jay's produced some stunning photos this week, but I have to say it, 99% of the woodland shots that I look at, it's just a mess to me. I can't see any attraction. But when you get it right, mate, they are absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, but that's the point Sam's making about getting to know it and getting to know the compositions and spending time there. And then when you found one, because if you wander in a woodland blank and you look around, it looks a mess. But you then got to spend a bit more time looking a bit closer and finding the compositions that could work in certain conditions, and then come back to them in those conditions. So, but you've got the patience. But I think that's the point with this, isn't it? I think that it's harder, much harder work to do that where you've got lesser attractive areas to visit. There's still lots of possibilities, as we've discussed and proven, but it's much harder. Bless you.
Bless you.
You know, it's just much harder to do
Yeah,
it than if you've got, you know, a gate out the back that leads out to, you know, a beautiful national park. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the thing is, people assume that the national parks, all the shots are a gimme, and they aren't. For every interesting and intriguing composition in the right conditions, again, it isn't a case of you can shoot it in any conditions and it looks great. For every location like that, there are 100 locations that a tourist would say are terrific, and they'd get their camera out, and Sam, Stuart and I would look at it and say, yeah, it doesn't really work. It looks all right. It's a nice place for a picnic, but it's not the sort of landscape shot you're going to stick your tripod up for.
I've got 4 of those videos if you want to watch them. A minimum 4. Yeah. No, I do. I totally get what you're saying. And going back, you know, Daz was saying about inspiration. That's the key for me. it's like when I go to those places that I look at and go, well, I've been to a couple of local woodlands or one local woodland recently and gone, oh, I really like it here. And although I've only had 2 videos on it, I have gone back several times to have a wander through and to have a look. And then I find like, oh, do you know, it's not doing it for me now. It's not, you know, there's probably, I've probably picked the best of the compositions there that I can find, and I can't find any more that I want to take. So yeah, if I get a misty day or if I get some real good conditions, I'll go back. But I don't want to just go there and shoot, you know, messy subjects. And that's, we're talking woodland, obviously, we're talking woodland, but the same applies, I think, for you know, your real landscapes. It's like talking about, going back to what we were talking about originally, about opportunity versus talent. I just think you've got to have both. It's like you talk about the boxing analogy, Daz, saying that, you know, it's about the training. But if you train and haven't got anyone to fight, it doesn't matter how good you are, does it? And that's the same with photography. If you go out all the time, you hone your skills, but you never have that opportunity to get out in the right conditions, you're never going to take that shot that everyone's going to go wow to, you know? Yeah. And that isn't location. I'm talking about conditions and opportunity to get out.
I think there is, and I'm not taking nothing away from you guys that live in this amazing part of the world, but it is easier to take photos when you've got more opportunity. As in, for example, say, if you live in the mountains, you might just get a burst of light, and that makes a really good photo. You know, you might get frost, you might get snow, you might get, because our landscape around here excuse me, is so flat, we don't get that drama that you would do in the mountains. So if you get a really moody sky round here, well, you're still taking a moody sky over a carrot field.
Yeah,
that's it.
It's not got a mountain in the way. You just get a big sky with no interruptions.
Yeah, but that's it. We are the land of the big skies. But
yeah. So basically, Daz, what you're saying is it's easier for them 3, isn't it?
No, I'm not. I'm not saying no. That's what I'm saying. I'm not taking nothing away. But what I'm saying is, when you're in mountain regions, there's more things that you can photograph. There's more weather conditions that you can photograph, and that's why, you know. Or perhaps it's just me. Perhaps I'm just talking absolute nonsense. But for me, I have tried. I tried for about 3 or 4 years to shoot landscape where I lived, and it was just soul destroying in the end, and I just couldn't do it. And now it's wildlife for me because I've got an abundance around here, and I'll only shoot landscape when I go to a place that really inspires me. If I'm in an area that inspires me, it makes me hunt for a photo. It makes me go out walking. Round here does nothing for me.
The flip side is if you do live somewhere like this, it becomes even more frustrating if you're working and you can't get out to photograph it because you can see it out the window. Whereas if you're living somewhere in a city, you could just be like, oh, it'd be really nice to be in the mountains right now to photograph it. Whereas here you can be like, oh crap.
Right, so I think what we'll do at this point is we'll move on to another subject, but I think what we've got out of this part of the conversation is that Stuart, Dave and Sam are just luckier than this, and that's why they're better photographers.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, so,
agree.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah.
Right.
3-all.
Okay, so we'll move on now. Probably make this one the last subject because we don't want to drag on for too long because people get bored. Not me, can I say? I'm talking about the viewers. Let's talk about artificial intelligence in photography. And I don't want to make it think like, I don't want anybody to think that we're going back again and talking about the same person, because actually we were going to talk about this a couple of weeks ago. But again, Adam Carnach has done a video on AI and basically called it Armageddon, saying that basically AI is going to kill photography. So I don't know if anyone has any experience of what AI can do and has any thoughts on that, but I'll tell you what, Dave's nodding, so let's start with Dave.
Oh no, that was nodding off. No, I saw Adam's clickbaity thumbnail, quite possibly one of the best thumbnails for a landscape photography video ever, and yet absolutely 100% pure clickbait, so hats off to him. But I've got a little Facebook group for people with like Fisher Price cameras like myself, and somebody posted an AI of, they put in Snowdon at sunrise, and it was absolutely shit. It was awful.
Do you want to make sure that was AI before you?
No, he said it was AI. It's a chap on the island that I know, and he's a good guy. And he said, look, I couldn't get out of the house, so I decided to play around with AI. And he requested Snowdon at sunrise in the snow. And it was appalling. And I took one look at it and thought, I'm this close to deleting it off the group and giving him a strike. But at the same time, it restored my faith in photography because, frankly, it was a piss poor attempt. And I don't think photography is under threat at all. I think it's ridiculous. It's comparing oranges and apples. Not even close.
Well, I watched the video, and I've been interested in this for a while. I've been interested in this AI photography. There's a lot of apps out there now at the moment, and there's one particular one which I've forgotten the name of, but it's the one that Adam used to create the two images that were then put together by his friend who was a graphic designer, and that looks amazing. I've got to say, it looks like that if you just put in, I don't know, not necessarily. This is where I'm going to get to with you saying Snowdon. Not necessarily an actual place, but if you put like trees in the mist or mountain, waterfalls, you can get some unbelievable images that it pulls up. Really beautiful images. But here's the thing, two things. It won't kill photography because it can't replicate an actual place. You can't, like when Stuart puts a picture in his gallery, you can't get Snowdon to go. You can't get AI to go. I don't know. On top of haystacks. Haystacks even a place in Lake District? Yeah. Yes. On top of haystacks, taking a photo down.
Get some Snowdon stuff in your gallery, Stuart. It'll make a fortune.
You can't get those shots. You can't get those exact shots that Stuart can get by being there, because I don't care how good AI gets, it's not going to replicate that. And there's that emotional attachment to that. But more importantly than any of this AI stuff about it being, it's going to kill photography, it might kill certain areas of professional photography, because if you're a magazine editor or you're a marketer and you want something, just I don't know, some fancy looking car in a nice locale, you can just get AI to do it, right? But if you're an everyday photographer like most of us are, and you go out, AI is not going to replicate that experience we had.
Of course it
can't
is.
do it.
No, because AI is using photographs that people have taken. It's not inventing it. It's not plucking it out of thin air. It's a program. What they're doing is people have fed thousands of images of Snowdon at sunrise into a database, and the AI is culling that to produce its output. It's not plucking it out of thin air.
No, but what I'm saying,
digital bits.
What I'm saying though, Dave, is it can't replicate our experience. It doesn't matter if I go out and take a photo and it's a shit one, and AI produces a brilliant one. It can't replicate my day of going and getting that photo, which is what photography for me is all about. Anyway, I love taking a photo. I love the creative process, and AI could never take that away from me, because I could sit here and go tappity tap tap, and AI brings up exactly the shot I've taken, but it doesn't bring up all of the time I had taking that shot and editing that shot. That's what photography is for me. So AI can never replicate that.
It can make out that you live somewhere better, just referring to the previous topic.
Well, yeah, but then can it replicate the taste of a McDonald's on the way back? That's the question. No.
I'm going to bring in my rose tinted spectacles, which I do like to wear quite a lot.
You look good in them.
I do. It's the Elton John look. Yeah, it's good. Anyway, I think with my rose tinted spectacles on that increasingly people are going to want more realism, because everything is becoming digitized. We've got Facebook wanting you to step into a meta universe or something weird like that, and I think people are so fed up with everything being digitized. It's going to be a bit like the sort of when people started buying vinyl again. And it might be niche, but I reckon, or I like to think, that people are going to want things to become more real, more tangible, and that's what you have with photography. Certain, maybe not all photography, but a lot of landscape photography and landscape photography we appreciate, we like because of its realism, which you won't get with AI. And I like to think with my rose-tinted spectacles that people will appreciate that, or at least niches will always appreciate that, and so it's not gonna disappear.
I'm with you, Sam. I'm with you on that, Sam. I mean, from a professional standpoint, but running a very different business model to probably perhaps Adam does. Like you're saying there, Sam, I mean, from a running workshops perspective, AI can't replicate that. That's an experience thing. I think as landscape photographers as well, and this spreads to other things, not just talking about AI, but I think we do forget sometimes that landscape photography already is a very niche thing to do. It's a very small community relatively compared to probably a lot of other genres of photography. And I mean, at a hobbyist level, I don't think AI will make a jot of difference because, like you say, it can't replicate the experience of walking up a mountain and all of that sort of stuff. I think from the commercial end of it, in landscape photography specifically, it may kind of kill off some of the more commercial things like commissions and things like that. But I mean, the days of those sort of big commissions and companies, contracting out work to photographers died a long time ago. That's already been and gone. So AI is not really going to kill much there. Stock photography may end up getting killed, but I mean, if you're someone who already uploads photography to stock websites, not many people are really making any money off that either. And from my own point of view, running something like a gallery on a high street, again, no amount of AI is ever going to produce an original piece of my own work. I think there'll always be, I think for frame prints and stuff like that, and I mean, I know I'm in a bit of a minority in that I run my business around selling prints, but I do think AI will end up being it'll appeal to a market of people who already aren't really that interested in landscape photography anyway, not at any kind of serious level.
I agree with that, and what Sam just said, totally agree. Yeah.
But then I look at commissions as well. You're saying about commissions, Dave. You've just done a commission. Yeah, AI can't replicate those shots you took because they are actual physical places that those people want to be seen on their website and in their brochure. So even in that instance, AI can't replicate that. So I think it's I would embrace. There's certain parts of AI that I would embrace. It's gonna help. AI does brilliant things now. Look at take Adobe for instance. Take masking. Content aware fill. That's all AI, and that's helping millions of people already. I think there are really good points to AI, but I think to say that it's going to kill photography, it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous statement. Some might say it might just be made for just to get a few more views. I don't know. Anyway, has anyone else got? Jamie, you haven't mentioned anything about AI. Would you like to see an AI Cheeky Girls?
I'd love to. Yeah.
But
in fact, I did earlier on my phone. It was fantastic.
You could specify what you want them to wear and what they're up to using AI, couldn't you? So it has its uses.
I may be naive on the subject, but I just think it's very gimmicky, and whether it will last or not, I don't know. All of our kids are used to growing up with AI these days, and I think as we get older and as we no longer can get out and take photographs, then I'm sure that the digital age will take over at one point in time, and as Sam said, it will probably be retro what we're doing now, and it might increase the value of some of Stu's prints because they're real, they're unique, they're proper prints rather than digitally created ones. So
and again,
Mr. Interruptee.
What's that? You watching a film or something?
No, go on.
No, I'd finished. I'd made my point.
That's the thing, though. What we're doing now with landscape photography is already retro. It's very niche as it is. We just don't see it that way because we're in that bubble of, we think landscape photography is really popular, but when you compare it to things like other genres of photography, it's it is still pretty niche, I think.
Stuart, I've seen my views this week. Believe me, I do know it's very niche. I've realised it's not popular, or certainly my part of it isn't very popular.
But can it create wildlife? I know it can, but can it create it as visually real looking than a landscape? For instance, you put in, I don't know, eagle on fence post. Will it create something that you think, shit, that looks bloody real, really real? Is it as good as that? I've never done it, so I don't know.
I'm going to say I think it can, yeah.
Right.
I can't remember. I wish I could remember the name of this piece of software. It's in beta at the moment. I think you've got to have a reason to sign up for it. But you can, one of the things that Adam used was astronaut on a horse, and it looked like a photograph of an astronaut riding a horse. It is like Dave says, it's using existing material off of the internet. It isn't making it up. It isn't going, what does a horse look like? Let me draw it. It's picking it off, but the way it's using it is quite scarily good. And I think it will. I think it will take off, and I think it will be a massive thing. AI in lots of things that we do. I showed you that thing the other day. That chat. Can't remember what that was called, but. Literally could write a script for you. It could write a script. You could say to it, write me a video script for whatever, and it writes it and then gives you a shot list of all the things you need to take to make that film look good, out of nothing, out of nowhere.
And still nobody watches it.
Oh no, yeah, well, probably even less people would watch it. So.
I think, being honest, we're the wrong age to ask this question, aren't we? About what's the future with AI? Because we're all going to be negative about it because none of us really want it to be happening. But in reality, I guess it will, as you say, it will take over and it will become the norm.
I'm glad that we're being negative about it. I'm glad we're the age that we are. I really am.
I'm not being negative about it.
No, I'm not negative about it at all. I just don't think it'll kill photography. I think graphic artists.
Gary's got his 3D what's it?
Exactly.
So he can live in the metaverse.
Dead against that.
I sold that.
You didn't. After all that you said about it.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
I sold it a while back.
Why? What made you sell it?
Because he was talking a load of crap in season 2, episode 4.
No, honestly, I was skint and I needed some money. And it was the first thing that was on my list to go. All I used it for was to play cricket, virtual cricket. And I just thought, you know what, this is a lot of money to play a bit of virtual cricket.
Just go and play cricket.
Exactly. Yeah.
So how do you play virtual cricket? On your own in the front room, just waving your hand about?
Yeah.
Go like that?
Yeah. No, you don't. You're only batting. So you've got your headset on and you use your controller as the bat. And then you see the ball come, and then you hit it.
Jesus
well, you don't
Christ.
do like that because that's
300 quid for that.
Hang on a minute. What was supposed to be happening was I'm going to do virtual boxing and get fit.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
But after the cricket, Dave, he was going on to darts. That was going to be.
There is a darts one. I'm playing a bit of virtual golf as well. The virtual golf was okay.
Virtual tiddlywinks.
The boxing was too tiring, to be honest, Dave. Netflix was quite good on it because you could sort of sit like this and pretend you're in the cinema. That's quite good. Yeah. But
does it play sounds of people eating popcorn next to you and farting? And
it can do if you want it to. Yeah, you can actually sit with other people virtually. Oh, that was freaky.
I couldn't think of anything worse.
There was this thing called VR chat. Right, and you're like, you can. It's a bit. To be honest with you, it's a bit creepy because you can be who. So there were like probably 45, and I'm not talking about me here. 45-year-old men walking around as little girls in there, and it was. But the thing is you wander in there, and there's loads of people. Some of them were just having normal conversations, and then you walk around and you go, and someone will come up to you and go, hello, and you go, ooh, ooh. Switch it off. Switch it off. It's freaking me out. That went a little while back. So,
Well done. I'm proud of you, mate.
yeah.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah. To be honest with you, most of it just made me feel sick, motion sick. So you can only do stuff that was standing still, really. So yeah. Anyway, but I don't have an issue with AI. I think it's going to be a good thing, but it certainly isn't going to kill photography, as Stuart said.
No.
Yeah. So
It's not, not a really good use of the expression, though, is it? Because AI specifically is something which hasn't yet arrived. At least, sort of robotic sentience, which is what it's initially supposed to mean. As AI is used at the moment as a definition, it's pretty loose compared to what it really means.
Well, the robots aren't taking over yet, are they? They're not gaining. Well, are you trying to tell us something? Yeah, the robots haven't taken over yet, but who knows? Give it a few months, we might have a robot pubcast. Probably be more interesting.
We could have our spice avatars.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I'll be back.
Right. Anyway, I think with that we'll call it a day. What does?
I was going to say.
Interrupting.
No.
Literally now, when I say anyway, I always look to Daz first because I know 9 times out of 10 he's going to put his hand up or say something. Yeah, go on.
Well, what I was going to say was next week we're going to do our songs that always put a smile on your face.
Yeah.
And did we want to ask, or should we have asked them next week? I didn't think that's through, did I?
But if you guys have got any that you want to suggest, we're not going to play them. We might play them if they're good. What song guaranteed makes you happy? Well, honestly, 1 week, right? We just need to do a whole podcast on things Jamie doesn't know.
Jesus, that's going to be a long podcast.
Like literally, do you know this song? No. Do you know this television program? No. Do you know who this celebrity is? Ain't got a clue.
No.
Like,
I live a sheltered life.
I'll tell you what, actually, in the comments below, just put in names of films and songs and celebrities, and we'll run them past Jamie next week. No Googling, Jamie, to see if he actually knows who they are. I'll bet you 50% he won't. I'll bet you 50% he won't.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Okay.
And I still can't believe you've asked this question, Daz, or asked this topic about songs, because you know my song choice. You know what's going to come.
But there must be one song that every time you hear it come on.
Oh yeah, I've got plenty, but you just know what they're going to be, don't you? Really?
That's fine, mate. It makes no difference. I've got some songs. I'm sure you'll go, oh my goodness. But no, as soon as I hear like that first beat come in, and I just straight away my ears prick up, and I think, oh, that's a great song.
What do we? Let's all, before we go, let's all go round and just have a guess what song Jamie's going to pick.
I'm going to go with Cotton Eye Joe.
Jay could pick anything.
I think it's going to be something from Steps.
I think it's going to be Dancing Queen.
Oh, yes, it
I
could
love
be.
Dancing Queen. There's nothing wrong with that.
Or it might be It Must Be Love by Madness. It could be that, because I know he's partial to that.
Oh, I love a bit of ABBA.
Or One Step Beyond.
Oh, One Step Beyond. Well, yeah, it doesn't make me happy, but it's a great
Well,
song.
one of you has got the correct answer. And we'll find out next week who it is.
Well, it's got to be Madness or ABBA. It's got to be. I reckon
it's got
Madness.
Cotton Eye Joe.
I think it's
I went on Cotton Eye Joe. Anyway, thanks for watching this week and listening. And we'll all see you again next week. Goodbye.
See ya.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye. I reckon Stuart's going to be something like the fire starter.